we are going to talk about prophesying over others. That means that we get to tell people how awesome and amazing that they are. 1 Corinthians 14 in verses 1 and 3 says, "Follow the way of love and eagerly desire spiritual gifts, especially that you may prophesy. The one who prophesies speaks to people for their strengthening, encouraging, and for their comfort." So we're going to say strengthening, encouraging, and comfort. Say that with me. Strengthening, encouraging, and comfort. That is what prophecy is. There's all kinds of different ways of prophecy we may have seen or experienced. But in the context of these outreaches, we are standing on the biblical guidelines of 1 Corinthians 14:3, that all prophecy will only be strengthening, encouraging, and comforting. You know, our dad's a really good dad, and he knows how to talk to his kids, and he's so excited to tell them the good things that he loves. He wants to interact with us, he wants to connect with us, and he wants to use you to show his kids how much he loves them and how specifically he knows them. Unlike in the Old Testament, there was judgment in prophecy. There was a different way of doing prophecy in the Old Testament. New Testament prophecy is unique because Jesus has died, has risen again. He has paid for all judgment. So New Testament prophecy is to strengthen, encourage, and to comfort. If there's a big pile of dirt and we find some gold, what do we say? Oh my gosh, there's gold! I'm so excited. And that's the Lord's heart for prophecy and his kids. We do not call out the dirt. It does not matter. All that matters is the gold that's there. If there's ever anything negative that we sense about a person, we don't speak it. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. I don't need to come into agreement with death in terms of the prophetic. Now, if you know someone personally, you're in a relationship, you need to confront them, you do that relationally, that's its own side thing. But in the context of public street ministry, I am going to prophesy things that give someone a hope, that bring them closer to the glory of God, that awakens the glory of God inside of them, that adds momentum to what God is doing. If I see something negative, I can flip it and declare the opposite, because if I see the negative on earth, then I know what God's reality is and his purposes in the kingdom of heaven. I had a friend who was doing ministry in a biker bar in another country. And he went up to a really scary looking guy and he said, "Hey, we were here." They were actually doing dream interpretation. He said, "Tell me one of your dreams." And the guy said, "I have this dream every night where I just kill people." And it was this horrible, violent dream, like super scary. Now, here's what the guy did. He said to himself, okay, if that's what the enemy wants to do, if that's what's happening in the physical realm here, or even in the spiritual realm, that's negative, that's not God's ultimate reality for this guy. So he began to tell this man, and he began to prophesy over this man. He said, "That's a great dream, sir. From that dream, I see that you are called to bring life, that you are called to bring hope, that you are called to bring restoration." And this big, scary-looking man in the biker bar, he started crying. He started opening up his heart. He was open to the things of the Lord. I'm telling you, if we can look with our natural eyes and see the plans of the enemy, we can see brokenness and destruction, by faith, we can go ahead and speak the opposite over people. Because prophecy, it's not just telling what's going to happen, it calls it forth. God says, "Let there be light," and there's light. So when you look at somebody and you say, "I see life on you," it calls it forth. I once saw a woman who looked really sad and depressed and was wearing all brown, and I just felt like God had joy for her. And it was the opposite of what it looked like in the natural. You don't need to be prophetic to see the dirt on people. And so I just told her, "Ma'am, I see joy coming into your life. God wants to bring you joy." And she said, "Oh my gosh, I've been praying for joy. I've been thinking about joy. It's on a Post-it note on my mirror. I've been hoping I could get more joyful." Well, that word just was a catalyst to release that to her. No prophetic word is too small or too insignificant when it's done in the context of strengthening, encouraging, and comforting. There once was a man that told the pastor, "I see you like a bulldozer." Okay, well, you could say a 5-year-old could give that word, right? But the man was Randy Clark. He prophesied over Leif Hetland. He said, "I see you like a bulldozer going into the Middle East." And that man went from a burnt-out Norwegian pastor, he's still a Norwegian pastor, but now he goes into the Middle East and does radical things over there. That one word had such impartation that was with it. I have a friend who was going to commit suicide, and he looked one day out on the streets, and a little girl looked at him and smiled at him, and he decided to live. We can have prophetic actions. We can have prophetic acts. We can have prophetic words. Know that what you say, what you speak, it makes such a difference. And again, strengthening, encouraging, and comforting. There was a father that made wonderful brownies for his kids, and he said, kids come, I put the best milk and sugar and wholesome organic ingredients. Come on, have these brownies. By the way, I just got a little bit of dog poop from the backyard, put that into, here, have some. Okay, nobody wants to eat those brownies. And I say that in terms of the prophetic. We've all had many experiences or heard of things where maybe the prophetic has not been handled well. We do no dog poop prophetic, not to be vulgar with us, but we only ever do good. Nothing negative, nothing bad, not in the prophetic. That's what keeps us safe. And as you're out on the teams, if you're ministering with other people and they're going for it and they're doing their best, but they start ministering prophetically in a way that's calling forth negative things or out of these guidelines, I'm asking you, and you have the right to say, hey, let's come back to course. We don't do dates, mates, or babies. We're not telling people what to do with their life. We are encouraging them. We are comforting them. And we are so excited to release the good things that Papa God has to say to them. A really great way to do this on the streets is to prophesy over people based on their name. I was out on the streets of Minneapolis. We were doing street evangelism. And we were asking people if they wanted prayer. Some of the team were giving out tracts. And the lady at the bus stop late at night who we were talking to was not interested in any of those things, and she was on her cell phone, she was busy. But out of my mouth came, hey, I'm out here with my friends, and we're telling people how awesome they are based on their name. Can we tell you how awesome you are based on your name? She puts the phone down, she's like, yeah. When we do street evangelism and any type of outreach, if you're confident, people are going to be open. Just go for it, because the worst that's going to happen is they're going to reject you. And the best that's going to happen is their life will be forever transformed. So she says yes. So I said, what's your name? And then I looked at the team of people with me. I said, we're going to take every other letter. So I took the first letter of her name. You know, I don't remember what it was, but maybe it was Lavon. Okay, Lavon. You're just so full of love, and the Lord just wants to love on you. Okay, next team member, you got A. Okay, you're awesome, and God just thinks you're so awesome. Now, don't despise this simple prophetic, because you should have seen the look on her face, like everything changed. She had hope. Whoever brings the most hope can bring the most influence. Any excuse to bring encouraging prophetic words is great. Names are a great way to do this, and you can tell people. We're out here telling people how awesome they are based on their name. Can I tell you how awesome you are based on your name? You can do that connect piece. That can be like that. Or maybe you go up to somebody, hey, what's your name? Hey, your name's Charles. That's awesome. Charles, I can just see that you're so caring. You're so full of hope. You just have this artistic piece about you, and you just start going for it, you know, and then you begin to build a conversation. They're already having a God encounter, so you can use it as an introduction and ask them. You can go ahead and start going through their whole name. You can just do the first letter of their name, whatever it is that helps you connect with them and helps them encounter the Lord. Now, another great way that we can prophesy over people is we can just ask the Lord, Lord, what do you want to say to this person? Or show me a picture for them. And the Lord will give you an impression of something to share with them. And then you want to ask the Lord, okay, what does that mean? And then you share with them in a soft way that lets them say yes or no to this word. We do not say thus saith the Lord in this outreach. In other contexts, be free. But in this context, no, because we want to give people permission and power to judge and discern. And just for you who are watching, just because anybody in the world, I don't care who they are and what their credentials are, just because anybody tells you, God told me this for you, does not mean that God told them that for you. Just because anybody says, God's saying you need to do this, does not mean you need to go do this. To stay safe in the prophetic, we need to be able to flush things that are not right. We need to be able to let things simmer. And we need to say, yes, that feels great. So we prophesy words that would feel really great. Somebody gave them to us, and we were going to wear that word. So one time I asked the Lord, for a picture for somebody. Lord, what do you want to say to my friend? And I got the picture of a basketball. And so I didn't just say, I see a basketball for you, because I don't know, what's the Lord wanting to say? Let's ask him. So I'm like, Lord, what's up with the basketball? And I just had this sense, just this small impression that it was about this guy stepping out in his faith. And so I said, sir, I see a picture of a basketball for you, and I sense, these are the words we use, I sense, we're giving that person room to judge. We're giving ourselves permission to not always get it right. It's not wishy-washy, it's empowering. So I see a picture of a basketball. I sense that the Lord wants to encourage you, that he is just launching you into the next thing. And he's just got you in the air, and you're about to just go right into the basket, and he's wanting to help you know that it's so great where you are, but he's going to be launching you into some new things. Does that make any sense to you? You begin to have a dialogue. You can share your testimony. You can share the gospel. So here's what we're going to do in recap. Prophecy: strengthening, encouraging, comforting. I want to tell you how awesome you are. You can do that through somebody's name, the first letter, every other letter, or you can ask the Lord to show you a simple picture for them and say, hey, I just got this impression, this picture for you, and I feel like the Lord wants to encourage you that. And then you share what it means. We do not tell them how to apply it. We don't tell them what to do with it. That's up to them. We just say, this is what I sense. Does that mean anything to you? God's going to use you powerfully to bring transformation as you prophesy his good, encouraging, uplifting, comforting words to others. So find one person at least, ideally one person you know, one person you don't know. Practice prophesying over them in these guidelines, and we'll see you on the next lesson.